Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Discover Your Spirit, and I'm your host, Brenda Reading. I am a Lily Dale registered medium, and I have the privilege and honor to come on here every couple of weeks and talk to you all about all things spiritual. And tonight, I should say, but before we get into it, hasn't it been a beautiful day today? Oh my gosh, sunny, just a little breeze, nice and warm for Western New York, right? All the buds are starting to pop out. Beautiful day in Western New York. Anyhow, I just wanted to put a little positivity in there before we start our little talk for tonight. So, tonight, I want to talk about um, psychics, mediums, or both. And the reason I want to talk to you about that is because, as you know, I'm a Lily Dale registered medium, and Lily Dale Assembly, the largest spiritualist camp center in the world, is having their season again, and it starts on June 20th, goes through August 31st. This is the catalog. If you haven't received one, you can call the office, and they will send you one for $5. Or you can go online to www.lilydaleassembly.org, and you can click the What's Happening at the top, and it'll drop you down, and you can see the online calendar, and then you can take a look at all the different offerings that we have this summer for you. And I want to say, just quickly before we get into the talk, there's many different types of classes and events happening this summer. So it really is to your benefit if you're thinking about taking a drive down. It's a beautiful drive down about an hour south of Buffalo, down the 90, to take a look online and see what's being offered or get the catalog. I like to have it in my hands. I'm still old fashioned. I do a lot of things online. I teach online. I do a lot of Zoom readings online, which I absolutely love. But I do like to have this catalog in my hand. And I will tell you, it is more than just a catalog of what's going on. There's information in the catalog about different things in Lilydale that are important. And, you know, the history of Lilydale Assembly, how it started way back in 1844, right? And how long it's been around and what it means to be a spiritualist. And there's just so much when you come to the gate that you get for your gate pass and your little $5 parking fee that you can take advantage of during the day, during the week, and weekends too, in Lilydale. There is a message service at 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5:30 p.m. There's also the 2:30 church service, which also includes messages for mediums. There's the Healing Temple, where you can go in for meditation service at 8:30 in the morning. You can go in for 7 to 8 o'clock, a healing service, where you can go in and have healing done. And then the different things, of course, there's the library you can visit. There's the different bookstore. There's different places to go to eat. Bob's Bargain House, Sacred Grounds Coffee Shop, the museum, which is really, really interesting. There's all kinds of interesting things in the museum, and those all come with your gate pass. So it's nice to do more than just stop in and get a reading. You know, I mean, the mediums love that you take the time to drive down and come to Lilydale to get a mediumistic reading, which we're going to talk about soon. But there's just so much more that you also get from coming during season that you can take advantage of. On Monday nights, we have Monday Night Circles, where you can get a mini reading for $20, and that starts at 7 o'clock sharp. I will be there every week. Tuesdays, there's Adventures in Mediumships in the Octagon, where a registered medium will sit with you at 7 o'clock and lead you through some type of class. That's only $10. Wednesdays, we have the Thought Exchange in the Octagon at 7, and also starting July 9th, the Astrology Discovery in the Lyceum. There's ghost walks that happen on a Wednesday night, which is really neat. There's all kinds of things going on during the week. There's drumming circle on a Friday night, weather permitting. Special healing circle with Tom Kratzley in the Healing Temple. On Sundays at 4 o'clock, we have the all message service in the auditorium for $10, where registered mediums will do all messages for over an hour. And then we also have a Sunday home circle at 8:15, where different registered mediums will have a regular old style home circle where we'll be passing messages, do a little bit of meditation at the beginning. I plan on being there a couple times too. So anyways, I just wanted to call your attention to that because there's just so much going on. Too much to even, I could go through a whole show just talking about all the things that are going on. So back to what I wanted to talk about tonight, because there is a difference between a psychic and a medium. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about it because if you're coming to Lilydale during season, the types of readings that we offer are mediumistic readings, okay? And a mediumistic reading is a reading where the medium connects with your spirit loved ones that have passed, okay? And we do that using our senses, our clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, cognizance, all of it, right? And then we bring you evidence. We bring you pieces of evidence, which can be anything and everything from, how the person passed, what they looked like, what they did for a living, their personality. I love to connect to the spirit loved one and get a feel for their personality. I love that. It's like Janet Nahavik would say, you're painting the person back to life. And that's exactly what we do as mediums in Lilydale, is we connect with your person, and then we using our senses, we get to know them. And it really is such an honor and a privilege to be able to work with you and your family or your person. It really is such a humble honor. And what we get for information accomplishes more than two things, but at least two things. One, it proves the continuity of life. That is the number one thing that mediums that are spiritualists, especially in Lilydale, are charged with doing, is proving the continuity of life, proving that we don't just pass away and that's it and that's all finata, endo, no. Our energy, our love, our being, our essence, our soul, if you will, goes on. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed, right? Scientific fact. Well, who you are, irregardless of your physical being, is energy. And it goes on. And we prove that by bringing you irrefutable evidence that we have no way of knowing to you during the reading. Okay, so that's the first thing it does. The second thing it does is it generally provides some type of healing, so to speak, comfort, closure to the person that comes for the reading. And I also find that, at least when I connect with my spirit people, your spirit people, sometimes those spirit loved ones like to weigh in on things. They often give me information that I give to the sitter that lets them know that they are still paying attention to their life. they're sharing things that have happened since they've passed, or they're talking about something. I'll give you an example. That sometimes I find that that's the easiest way. So I was doing a reading a couple weeks ago for a young lady, and I kind of say the weirder the information for me, sometimes the better, right? Because you can't make that kind of stuff up, right? So as I'm sitting with her, and I bring in this lovely, lovely woman, and she felt like a grandma to me, but she was telling me she really wasn't the grandma, but she felt like the grandma, right? She was just like so loving, and you could feel how proud she was. And just the closer she got to me, it was just so palpable how much love she had for this young lady. And in the reading, it came out that it was actually her aunt that helped to take care of her when her father passed at a young age. So I referred to her from then on in the reading as the aunt grandma, okay? Because she was an aunt, but to this woman, she practically raised her. And she was older. So that we came to the conclusion we would call her Aunt Grandma. So that's what we did. And the thing that really made this lady understand who it was is that Aunt Grandma was talking about her cabbage rolls, right? And that was very specific. She didn't call them guamkies, she called them cabbage rolls. And the woman was okay, but when I told her that Aunt Grandma was talking about cabbage rolls, the tears that were brought to that woman's eyes, she knew then. She goes, "Oh my, we were just talking about my aunt's cabbage rolls this week." Okay. So this woman was well known, infamous for her cabbage rolls. All right. So like I said, the weirder the stuff they want to bring me, the better, because sometimes when they tell you things, you can have someone that's passed. It's like, well, I have a gentleman here. He passed in his 70s. He had a heart issue. He worked hard his whole life. He lost most of his hair. Well, right now, you've probably talked about 35% of the adult male population, right? So we need a little bit more information than that. And with my students, I call that the nugget, right? Because sometimes a family will have many people in spirit that resemble each other, either in their appearance or what they did for a living. Maybe they were all firefighters, right? So we have to, as evidential mediums, which is what we are in Lilydale, we have to keep digging down. It's like we're digging down further and further and further to be able to decipher exactly who this spirit person is that we have for our sitter. And so I call that little piece of information the nugget, right? Because when your sitter can't quite identify who you have, it's your job as an evidential medium to go back to the spirit person and mentally ask them, can you give me something more specific, right? Or tell me that, what I like to say is, tell me that one thing that they're going to know for sure that it's you, right? And there's other things you can say. You can ask them to put something in your hand that's going to help them identify who they are. There's all different things, but I like to call it the nugget. So as I'm sitting with this woman, the aunt grandma talks about a baby, and she lets me know she is indeed with child. And then the aunt grandma shows me pink. Okay. And so I'm like, okay, it must be a girl. She goes, yes, it is. And then the aunt grandma says about her name, that they're thinking about using her name for the child's middle name. And, it's like, after practicing and practicing and training and doing all the readings, the biggest thing is learning how to trust, right? You have to trust that what you're being given is correct and that you are not supposed to add to it, take away, whatever. You're supposed to kindly give it out. So I say, well, I says, your aunt have you been thinking about using your aunt's name as the middle name for your daughter? Oh my gosh. Yes, she says. And the aunt grandma is just so full of joy, right? She's so full of joy. But she's also letting me know that whether they do or not actually use it doesn't really matter. It's just the point that they considered it, that they thought about her, that they were wanting to use her name for their child, right? And that I got to feel the spirit person and also be in the presence of the young lady. So here we are, having this connection. It's a three-way, right? Three-way. I'm getting chills right now just talking about it. I'm wondering if Aunt Grandma is paying me a visit too. But it was beautiful. And the thing is that's the type of thing you get with a mediumistic reading. Okay. You can ask them questions. They can tell you information. They can give you closure to the questions that you have. They're probably not going to tell you where they buried the, can of money, but you never know. So that's the type of reading. That's the kind of information, and generally, they're always fine. That's the thing. People come and they want to know, is my loved one okay? Yes, they're okay. They're more than okay. They don't have that crappy body anymore, right? That was sick. They're doing what they want to do, but they're still checking in on you. And that's when they give the information. So let's talk a little bit about psychic readings, okay? I don't know if you know, but in addition to being a evidential medium, I'm also a certified psychic with the Edgar Cayce Association of New York City. And psychics also use all of our senses, right? Clairaudience, which is clear hearing, clairvoyance, which is clear seeing, claircognizance, which is knowing, which is the toughest one to use, in my opinion. Clairsentience is feeling things, right? And other ones. But what we're doing, if we're doing a psychic reading, usually, well, there's no connection with the dead people, okay? I call them the dead people. It's the reader, the psychic reader, is reading your energy field, okay? We all have an energy field around our body, in and around our body, okay? Because we are energy. And it's called your auric field, all right? And there's different layers to the auric field. Look at it like an onion, okay? And the closer you get to the body, right? We'll start with that, okay? So let's say there's the first layer that's closest to the body, about 1/2 to 2 inches from the body. And that's the etheric layer, okay? And that's where all the physical information resides, your health, that type of thing. Then you move out a little bit further, and that's the emotional layer, okay? And that has all the emotions and the feelings. That's in that layer. Then you move out a little bit further, 3 to 8 inches from the body, and that's the mental layer. And that, common sense, contains your thoughts, right? Your cognitive processes, your state of mind, right? This is where gut instinct resides, is in this mental layer. And then you move out a little further, that's the astral layer, 6 to 12 inches. The heart chakra is connected there. That's where we form our connections to other people. Cords, so to speak, if you've ever heard of that. So what a psychic does is, as a psychic, we intuit by reading the layers of energy on your body and in and around your body, in and around your energetic field. Okay. So, and that takes a lot of training and a lot of practice as well. And the things that you can ask a psychic, right? A lot of people want to know about relationships. They want to know about their career. And I do these types of reading as well. Okay. But not when I'm in Lilydale. All right. Those are mediumistic readings. But you can get some of that information from your people on the other side. Some of them like to weigh in on, what do you think about, they'll ask, what does my grandfather think about how I'm doing in school, or something like that. So the different types of things that you would ask in a psychic reading, right? Relationships, your career, your job, your schooling, your finances, your home, family, your health. But, as psychics and mediums, we have to be very careful because we are not allowed to diagnose or prescribe because we are not medical licensed professionals. Okay? We're just reading energy. And decisions. And there's different ways that you can, especially for yes or no answers, right? There's different methods that you can use as a psychic to make those decisions, right? To give that information, yes or no. Some people use a gas tank in their mind, right? And full is a yes, and empty is a no. Some people use a green light and a red light in their mind. Green light is yes, red light is no. Some people just get a feeling, yes or no. But one thing about this type of reading is I want to stress the fact that we all have personal choice. All right. God gave us that ability where we can make choices for our life. And you can have a certain energetic feel to you today, right? Let's say I give you a reading, a psychic reading, and, we're talking about different things going on in your life, and you have a certain feel to it, and, there's probability involved and things like that. But then tomorrow morning, you wake up and you have an epiphany, right? And you're like, I'm going to change all this stuff in my life. I'm going to kick this person to the curb, and I'm going to start exercising, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And all of a sudden, your auric field changes. And guess what? The stuff we talked about the day before, probably some of it's going to go right out the door because we have free will. All right. So you need to remember that when you go to get a psychic reading, it's about what the energy is saying at that moment, maybe in the next 3 to 6 months, and sometimes further down the road, depending on what we're seeing. But like I said, if you are going to come to Lilydale during season, the only types of readings that we're allowed to give are mediumistic readings. So know that ahead of time. And what's better than going to have a visit with your spirit loved one, right? Yes. What else did I want to talk to you about today? Oh, one of the things now, it's like in every profession, and I do consider being a reader a profession. All right, because it's a lot of training, a lot of classes, and a lot of practice, right? There's ethics involved in anybody's profession, in anything you do. And what I want to say is one of the things, there's 2 things that I refuse to do, whether it's mediumistic or psychic or anything else. I will never predict death, okay? I am not God. No one else is either, and no one should be predicting death. Okay, so that's just my personal opinion, but that's an ethics thing. Now, can you get a sense that, somebody's close to making their transition? Yes. But you know what? People rally, they get better. There's always, there's always that hope. So, that's not something that, that I would do. The other thing is I am not going to tell someone if their spouse is cheating on them, okay? Or their boyfriend or their girlfriend or whatever. All right? So, it's like that is something that if you really want to know, hire a private investigator, right? Do it that way. Because that's not something I'm going to do, because I certainly don't want to get involved in your personal stuff. So that's just a couple things about ethics. And just remember, for all of you out there that are practicing and training and want to become better at what you do as psychics or mediums, right? Just remember, you have those people's hands, right? Hearts right there in your hands. That's a responsibility. We have to take that very seriously. Do no harm, right? So I just want to tell you quickly about a class that I'm doing. It's called Are You an Empath? And empaths are very sensitive people. And generally, they're people that have their intuitive gifts open or starting to open, and they just don't know, what's happening. And sensitive to all types of things, their environment, other people, energy. And it's good to know about those different things, So if you know someone that is empathic, or you think they might be empathic, because let me tell you something, it can be difficult to navigate your life if you don't know that that's what it is. And I do feel that there have been people that have been misdiagnosed with different disorders, so to speak, that maybe are just empathic, and they need to realize their sensitivities and how to live with them, and how to either shut them down if they can, right? Have a better control of them, or how to embrace them and actually open them up to help other people. Because the choice is yours. There are things you can do to help yourself. And those are the kind of things we're going to talk about. I call them tools to navigate, right? So if you were interested in that class, it's a 2-night class, May 14th and May 21st, 7 to 9 p.m. each night. And we'll be talking about all the ways that you can be empathic and different ways to help yourself live with that. Because it really is a gift, and it's just something you have to learn how to navigate. All right. And in order to get that information, you can go to my website, brendareading.com. It's that simple. I have a question. Does anyone in Lilydale do any kind of online readings? Absolutely. I do Zoom readings all the time. And I know if you go to the website, lilydaleassembly.org, you will find a listing of all the mediums there and their websites, and you can check them out, and they will let you know if they do Zoom readings. It's really cool, because I also do readings on the phone, right? People have been doing phone readings forever. And because you really don't need to see your person to be able to read for them, because the connection is through spirit, okay? It's not through the eyeballs, it's through spirit. Hence, same with Zoom. It's like, it's nice to see the person's face, and it's nice to be able to, have that one-on-one with the person. So I love to do online Zoom readings with people. I do my Akashic record readings that way. I do psychic readings that way. I do medical intuitive that way. And I do the mediumship that way too. And it's really kind of like a satellite system, It's like the reader, spirit, and the person. And it's you don't have to have right in front of each other in order to do it. And so yeah, I thought I'd answer that question for you. For those of you that are interested in a fun event that's happening in Lilydale, June 14th, before season starts, there is the Fun Fest, and it will be happening June 14th, and there will be all types of vendors and all types of readers, all types of fun to be had. So you might want to go check that out. So I do want to say that this evening, not that I want to disappoint anyone, but I have been fighting my own type of sickness the last 2 days, and I've had to cancel a bunch of readings, and I'm not going to be doing any, spot readings tonight because I want to be at my best for you all. And I didn't even know if I was going to be able to come on here just to talk. So I'm not going to do them this evening. But the next time I come on here, I definitely will. And maybe we'll just do the whole show of readings to make up for not being able to do them tonight. Because like I said, I am not at my best. And that's what you all deserve. You deserve our best. So I'm not going to do the spot readings this evening. So I do apologize for that. So, and I do want to say, there's a saying out there. All psychics are not mediums, but all mediums are psychics. And that is true because psychics read the energy field, right? Using their intuitive gifts, our senses that we're all born with, that you can learn how to do this, okay? And then mediums use all of that, but they elevate it to another level by touching in with the spirit world and reading that and contacting those people and then become the bridge. All right. So that's how that works. So like I said, I'm not going to do the spot readings tonight. I apologize, but I will the next time. So anybody has any questions, you can always hit me up on my website, brendareading.com. I would suggest, though, that if you all are thinking about coming down to Lilydale, that you book your readings with your medium as soon as possible. Because the last few summers, we have had so many people come and so many people book online, right? So there are some there that take walk-ins, but there's just you might want to already get your appointments, okay? I just want to give you a heads up on that because I'm booking as well. So especially if you're going on a weekend, right? It's easier during the week to get a walk-in appointment, but weekends are very booked quickly. So get out there, get your catalog, go online. Take a look at your classes you want to take. And if you're going to get a reading, book that appointment. All right. So everyone have a great couple weeks. Take care. God bless. I'll see you soon.